What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another Raw review. This one is from May 9th, 1994. Raw starts off with a recap of Earthquake challenging Yokosuna to a match. Vince tells us that he hopes we get the response here tonight, but I just hope that this just doesn't happen at all. The first match is Kwang versus Razor Ramon in a King of the Ring qualifying match. Start of the match, Razor isn't able to keep Kwang down. He also sprays the infamous green mist, but not in Raymond's but not on Ramon's face or anything, just up in the air. This will be a somewhat unpredictable match if Kwang was booked as a real threat. The times that we've actually seen him on TV, he's lost or just been treated like a low card talent. So we already know who's going to win this one. Razor ducks a heel kick and hits a chokeslam for a near fall. Then he sets him up on the top rope, but Kwang hits a reverse cross body into a reverse by Razor into a pinfall. But Kwang kicks out and hits a super kick. I hope that all that made sense. I'll try to have those clips for you for these matches, but if that didn't make any sense, sorry. Razor goes for the Razor's Edge, but he isn't able to pick him up and drops Kwang. This might have been a botch because right away Kwang misses another spinning leg kick, and this time Razor is able to hit the Razor's Edge, and he qualifies for the King of the Ring. So, you know how I said that I hope that you guys were able to pick up when I said that sequence of moves? It doesn't really matter what happens in the match as long as I show the clips, but nothing really matters except for like how it ends. So, and then I can just tell you if it was a good match or not, but moving on, during the King of the Ring update, I caught a video promo from Roddy Piper. Looks like the King's Court segments do have a point to them, and that was to get us to a match between Piper and Jerry Lawler at the King of the Ring pay-per-view. Not looking forward to that one at all. Roddy Piper hasn't been in the ring in who knows how long, and Jerry Lawler, what does he really do in the ring that excites anybody? So that match is probably going to be kicking and punching and pretty much nothing else. And then Piper's going to put him to sleep. I was gonna say I don't know what Piper's finishing move is, but it's the sleeper hold, and that's a boring finisher, and that's probably gonna main event the show. So not really looking forward to that match, but it is what it is. I'm not gonna be doing a review for it, but I will watch some of it. But next up, we have a quick match for Crush where he beats the Jobber, and then a quick vignette for Duke the Dumpster Drozy, and then a recap from the WWF Superstars taping where Lawler is messing with Dink. Doink was supposedly not in the building, but then a fake Doink came out, and they embarrass Dink by pieing him and spraying him with a silly string. It's revealed to be Jeff Jarrett under the paint, and he calls out Doink for who knows what reason. I don't remember if these two have ever crossed paths. And speaking of Doink, he's out to have a match on Raw where he beats a jobber, and this guy did not look like the original Doink from what I could tell. He looked girthier, and the face was also not what I remember. So I think this might be where they switched Doinks. Something was up with the original one. Who knows? Backstage stuff. I'm not really going to get into that. Next, we get a short video of Earthquake explaining his past and when he used to be a sumo wrestler, but he feels that he's a bigger star since joining the WWF and believes he has a lot left to prove here. Next up, another King's Court, and he talks trash to Roddy Piper before introducing the guest, Yokosuna. He comes out with Mr. Fuji and Jim Cornette, and unlike the previous guests, finally we have a guy that can carry the segment by himself if he wanted to, that being Jim Cornette. So I'm actually going to let you listen to a couple of sound clips from this promo.
He was unbeaten. He was undefeated. He beat a lot of guys. He was a big-time sumo wrestler, Earthquake was. But you see, that was in prehistory. That was in the days before electricity. In the words of the Immortal Monkeys, that was then, and this is now, Earthquake. You know, King, I don't know whether you realize this or not, but I'm bilingual. I heard that about you. That's exactly right. I speak not only Japanese, but English as well, obviously, since my association with these men. When you get to be the king, that's as far as you can go. You've reached the top. Well, when you are a sumo wrestler, when you reach the rank of Yokosuna, that very word means grand champion of sumo wrestling. That's the best you can be. And that's how Yokosuna got his name.
Alright, so Cornette challenging Earthquake to a sumo match. You heard there that Yokosuna in the world of sumo means grand champion. So since Earthquake was a real sumo wrestler, Cornette in turn will have a fake Japanese and a fake sumo grand champion throughout this challenge. Makes sense. A good promo by Cornette, but I can't see how this will be any good. And sometimes I like to think that Yokosuna is a good wrestler, at least respectable where I see why he's on the roster. But then he does things that make me lose respect for him as a wrestler. I know he's passed away in real life, so I'm not disrespecting the man. But times like when he sandbags guys when they try to move him because he can't be bothered, or when he drops his full weight on jobbers just because they're jobbers, or like when this episode where he starts sweating like a hog just standing in one place. Yeah, Cornette was also sweating, so maybe the building was hot, But I don't get it. Yokosuna was sweating like he just had a 30-minute Iron Man match. Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels didn't look tired when they had their 60-minute Iron Man match, and Yokosuna out here standing still looks like he just competed in a goddamn marathon. Next up, though, Mabel picks up a singles win over another jobber, and the end of the show, we have the sumo match being set for next week, and we get an interview with Lawler and Earthquake. The King asks him if he's nuts for accepting the match, and Earthquake shuts him up by telling us that he accepts and that he's going to be Yokosuna's butt next week. I'm not cleaning that up in any ways, he actually says it like that. The King says that he knows that Earthquakes start with trembles, and he starts feeling some, and he says never mind, it's just Earthquake's knees trembling, but Earthquake threatens to punch him as the show goes off the air, and that does it for that, so let's get to the awards. For the best moment, I like to give it to Cornette's promo, but it's for a match that I don't give a shit for, so instead I'm just going to say that the best moment is the King of the Ring tournament getting started. Worst moment, the announcement of the sumo match for next week. Wackest performer, it's going to go to Yokozuna this week, and maybe after next week or right now, they're pushing him lower on the card, so, I mean, it is what it is. For the standard performer, you know what? I'm going to give it to Roddy Piper for the promo that he cut for the match that he's going to have against Lawler. This match just came out of nowhere for no absolute reason, but it's still something, right? So, Roddy Piper, standard performer of the show. So, I think I'm going to give this one a good grade. Going back and reading all of this, it just kind of like, why would I give this a good grade? But I kind of see why. I kind of explain myself in the next couple of sentences on my notes here. But I'm gonna say this: if it wasn't for any of this, me personally, I would not go back and watch this episode. I would give it a bad grade, but just hear me out, alright? We have the start of the King of the Ring tournament. Roddy Piper announces a return match, and the show has some sort of the story within itself with the challenge for the match between Earthquake and Yokosuna. So it starts off the show, it takes a turn in the middle with Cornette flipping it and challenging Earthquake to a sumo match instead of Earthquake being the one that throws out the challenge. And then it ends with Earthquake accepting it. So, yeah. In terms of this being an important show to what's going on around the WWF, it did a good job continuing and furthering things along, but I would not recommend watching this one. If you can skip it, go ahead and skip it. With all that being said, I'm out. I'll catch you guys never.